I feel the spirit moving in me. I feel the spirit moving in me.
Jacob Liberman has had a career working with light. As an optometrist and specializing in working with children who had vision-related attention difficulties. And now he's written a book. It's titled Luminous Life, How the Science of Light Unlocks the Art of Living. And we are very honored here to be able to be the first place that Jacob goes on his U.S.-wide tour. And so I'd like us to welcome Dr. Jacob Liberman.
Thank you all for coming. We're each like a plug that needs a socket. So thank you this morning for being both the plug and the socket so that I have something that I can do today. When Reverend Blaine and I spoke about a month ago about the possibility of speaking at Unity as the first stop on my book tour of this new book, Luminous Life, he said to me, "It's Aloha Sunday." And I said, wow, that's sort of interesting because Aloha really describes what a luminous life is. Now, of course, when we think of aloha, we think of the word shalom, hello, goodbye, but the spirit of aloha, the genetic matrix of that essence of aloha is love, it's peace, it's compassion. Those are the ingredients, the nature of this essence called aloha. We often think that there's something we need to do to integrate or become this essence. But we are this essence. And the process is just the journey of awakening to that awareness. And then that awareness is curative in and of itself. Many people have spoken about aloha in many different ways. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is quoted as saying, "When you see up as down and down as up, when the outside and the inside are the same, when you see a man as a woman and a woman as a man, then you shall enter the kingdom." When you no longer see things as right or wrong, black or white, light or dark, then you enter the kingdom, the state of aloha. The renowned Zen patriarch Sengsten, 1450 years ago, expressed the same message in a slightly different way. He said, "The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, Everything is clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, hold no opinions for or against anything. That's the whole thing. The question is, how does that occur? What I have discovered in my own life's journey at the age of 70 is that it's not related to doing. It is our natural state that sometimes we forget. Jesus said, "The truth shall set you free." Most of us have no idea what that means, because we think there's my truth and then there's your truth. What I believe is true. What you believe may not be true. But belief has nothing to do with truth. Go to a thesaurus and look up the word belief, and you'll see idea, thought, theory, concept. But if you look at the antonym of belief, the opposite of belief, you'll find the word truth. The truth that Jesus was speaking about that sets you free. Not the individual truth of the moment, the unchanging truth. That unchanging truth is so profound that it brings everything back to its natural default setting. You know, when you take the computer and you bring it back to its default setting, it's the way it was out of the factory. What happens when that, through the act of grace, occurs in one's life? 41 and a half years ago, while I was a practicing vision care practitioner, and like many of you, had worn glasses for almost 10 years, I sat down to my daily meditation practice, and unbeknownst to me, I disappeared. I don't know what happened, but all there was a silent spaciousness with clarity. Now, you know, we often hear the expression, "I see," but that doesn't mean we can see the eye chart. I see means I understand, I know. When this level of seeing happens, there's a knowing without a thought, without an anything. Everything is just clear. The same clarity we often assign to the divine. A sense of omniscience. And so when I entered this state, unbeknownst to me 41 and a half years ago, everything was clear. And then something really magical happened. When my eyes opened, everything was clear. I've never had a pair of glasses on my face since that day. Why am I sharing that with you? When I say awareness is curative, it's actually miraculous. Just an instance of that clarity and emptiness, devoid of the individual me, can set everything, as my father used to say, on the straight road. Just lines everything right up. How does that occur? We always say, well, give me something practical. What's the exercise I can do? What's the meditation? What's the affirmation? What's the this and that the part of the mind can do that doesn't know what this state is about? So this is what I've discovered. It's not the eye looking for the light, it's the light looking for the eye. This is why we often hear the expression, it caught my eye, but rarely ask, what is the it? The it is the light of God. I'm not speaking metaphysically. I'm speaking actually, scientifically. See, the light that the Bible calls God and that physicists describe as the fundamental energy that underlies creation, both of those definitions of God describe, or of light, describe that light as omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. They are the same light spoken of in different ways. And that light is looking for us. We don't have to find it. So just as a plant, when it is touched by that light, just turns itself to be in perfect alignment with it, so do humans. The plant moves in response to that invitation, and so do we. There is no doing. We are naturally moved. Where are we moved to? We are moved on the journey to fulfill our reason for being. Each of us has a purpose, just like a plant, just like an apple tree or a banana tree. We often speak of choice, but consider the possibility of living in a state of choicelessness, where what you call God or light is directing everything. And you're just in the flow of that river. And what you call your response is actually a natural movement that is inspired in us. We hear so often today about making things happen. But without the inspiration that touches us and comes to us free of charge from the intelligence of life, all there is desperation. It is that inspiration, animation from the light of God that results in what we call implementation and manifestation. We have a role to play, but God always has the first serve. We become aware of it at a certain point, and then we run with it because we're excited, we're inspired. But that inspiration wasn't something I thought up. That came to me free of charge so that I may fulfill the journey of my life, my reason for being. Notice what's catching your eye. Notice how the moment that something catches the eye, even before you notice it, the eye reflexively moves towards that which is called to it. And when that connection occurs, that moment of congruence and coherence, that's presence. There is no one being present. There just is presence. Everything is lined up. The guidance is received, and we're on our way. So in the morning, when you notice that the bed needs to be made, it takes no effort to make that bed. What takes the effort is the mental activity that says, I'll do it a little later. What we think of as doing is mental activity. When the light of God, the light of the sun, the same light that we experience as brightness, moves through us unimpededly and guides us, we are moved by that. Goethe said, light created the eye as an organ with which to appreciate itself. We think that our eyes are on our face, but every cell of the body has eyes that detect and respond to light. Now keep in mind, light is invisible. You cannot describe it. It is not the brightness you experience here. We experience light during the day as brightness, and during the night we experience the same light as darkness. Every function of our body is inseparable from that cycle of light and darkness. Everything is queued up to respond automatically. There is nothing within our body designed to initiate action. Everything is designed to respond to an invitation from the intelligence of life, moving us in the orbit of our life so we may fulfill our reason for being. As we begin to notice that invitation, there's an awareness that leads to a more distilled awareness, that leads to a more distilled awareness. And then that sensitivity begins to develop, and we sense things. If you're a parent, you've had a sense of your children at some point. You picked up the phone and they said, "Oh, Mommy, I was just thinking about you." Or you've had a flash, what you call an intuition. Your belly brain was speaking to you. That is the light I'm speaking about. I'm speaking scientifically now. That is essentially our body responding to the formless before it has been rendered into form. And every cell of our body, especially the physical eye, is designed to see the formless. Jonathan Swift said, real vision is the ability to see the invisible. We're being guided by that all day long, all night long, every instance of our life. If we allow and just recognize what's happening, something profound occurs. People sometimes that attend a talk I'm doing, they say to me, "How do you get up there and do that without any notes or PowerPoints, or you must have really practiced?" But I never give it a thought. But don't confuse that with the fact that I am continually also aware of what we call the mind experiencing its fear, its trepidation. Oh my God, you're going to make a fool of yourself. I experienced that just as I did when I was a child and had to take a test. But there's a difference. And the difference is that I've discovered that we are not that chatter. We are that which is noticing the chatter. huge difference. If you looked out at night at the moon and you didn't know that moonlight was actually reflected sunlight, you would be thinking for sure the moon is all lit up, it's giving off light. But it's just a reflection. And the light that's reflected is reflected off the surface of all these little perfections and imperfections on the lunar surface. Same thing happens with that which we call the ego. That first impression, the thing your teachers all said, your first feeling, that's the right one. That's the guidance from the intelligence of life. And then at the speed of light, that guidance is reflected off of our ideas. And we've all grown so accustomed to it, because it's happening all the time, that we're sure that that's us, my mind, my beliefs. But if there wasn't something noticing it, there'd be no awareness of it. Once we begin to realize that the real us is actually the final set of eyes, that in essence, everything that exists is actually the eyes of God. Because that set of eyes that I'm speaking about, that observer, has no point of view. It doesn't want this and not want that. All it does is notice. So begin to notice. Anything you notice is looking for you. Anything that's looking for you, it's your responsibility. It's the next piece of curriculum on your life. Wash those dishes. Dry them. Put them back. Return the phone call, the email, pay the bill the date you get it, and if you can't, call them and let them know. The timing of life is perfect, just like the rising and setting of the sun. Prioritize nothing. God has already done it. Have a grateful day.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Where I live, they're all raised